You'll find a Mets fan. Let's go. This is a Mets year. For all your Mets here, let's go. Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets with Rob. And it didn't even take 24 hours after the World Series is over for the Mets to make already the biggest move of the early offseason. Free agency just begun today, so you can exclusively talk to your players that could potentially become unrestricted free agents. And Cohen and Epler did not waste any time. If you haven't heard, the New York Mets and Edwin Diaz has come to an agreement. 5 years, $102 million. It's on the bottom of your screen scrolling. We'll get into all the details of the contract and everything like that. More information is coming out as we speak. But the Mets make the first big move of the offseason by re-signing the best closer in baseball, and that's exactly what the Mets needed to do. 5 years, $102 million with a $12 million signing bonus, and it wasn't even 24 hours after the Houston Astros hoist the commissioner's trophy. And you know what? That's exactly the type of situation and just go all gas, no brakes. Going to all you Jeff fans out there that beat the Bills today. All gas, no brakes. Just going right after it. Putting the pressure on, not waiting for any possibility of anybody leaving. And that's exactly what Cohen did there. He wanted Diaz. Diaz wanted to be a Met. Why waste time? Not even 24 hours after the World Series is over. Diaz is going to be a New York Met for at least 5 years. And we're going to go into the details rather quickly. Number one, there is an opt-out in the contract. There hasn't been enough information stating when the opt-out is within the contract. It could be, I'm assuming it probably around year 3 in the middle of the contract. So that kind of makes sense, but there is a full no trade clause. So if the Mets somehow are just horrible the next 2 years and the Mets want to try to get a big package back for Diaz, Diaz has to okay the trade. And that's also good for the Mets and good for Diaz. Also, there is a 6-year option with that contract. So we got everything here. This is from Jeff Passan. $102 million for 5 years, pending physical, opt-out, and full no trade clause plus a 6-year option. There you go, right there. So that's everything we and a $12 million signing bonus. So that's everything that we needed to know. This is the aggressiveness that we want to see from Cohen, and I don't think anybody's shocked by that. And me and Joe were talking last night about it, about the free agency starting with you could talk to your own players. And he asked me, he goes, "What player do you see on the Mets signing first?" I said Edwin Diaz. And, I'm not no genius. I can tell you that. I just felt like Edwin Diaz wanted to be here. It was a perfect match. Why mess around? And you know what? Somebody, I forgot, one of the experts made a prediction 5 years, 105 million. So they weren't too far off at all. And okay, John Heyman just said that the opt out is after 3 years. So again, the middle of the contract, which makes a lot of sense. Again, I don't think Diaz is going to get more than 20 million per year because that's what he'd be getting in this contract. Even if he has 3 great years in a row, I don't know if somebody's going to pay him $30 million, but you never know. So even if he has a really good year, I don't think he's going to opt out. So you're guaranteed to have a young Edwin Diaz in the prime of his career for at least 5 years, possibly 6, and at the very least 3 years if he does opt out. So that's right there what we got right now. So if you're just tuning in, don't forget to hit on that like button, of course. Scrolling on the bottom of your screen, the Mets make the first big signing of the free agency period, not even 24 hours after the World Series, by signing one of their own, the best closer in baseball, Edwin Diaz, 5 years, $120 million. And on top of that, $12 million signing bonus, put a little icing on the cake. And on top of that, 6-year option, no trade clause, and an opt-out after 3 years. So that is a great deal for the Mets. That is a great deal for Diaz. And now what that does, that gives you, and if you don't know, I'm going to let you guys know right now. Thursday at 5 p.m. is officially when free agency starts for the entire league, where any team can talk to any player and any player can talk to any team. So what that does, that kills one bird right away. That gets one player out of the way from the Mets. We still got Nimmo. We still got DeGrom. DeGrom hasn't officially opted out yet, so I'm assuming he still is. Chris Bassett already opted out to the player option, so he's a free agent. I don't know if they're going to try to work with Jacob DeGrom, but Jacob DeGrom also has to opt out first. So, is it going to be Brandon Nimmo? He's a free agent. The Mets have rights to talk to him as well. But Thursday, 5 p.m. is when MLB free agency officially starts. And, of course, earlier today, Daniel Vogelbach opted into a $1.5 million opt-in with the Mets, so he'll be returning. Hopefully he is a bench piece, not an everyday DH like we seen when we got him from at the trade deadline. So I do think it's perfect what the Mets did here. They didn't mess around. They were aggressive. They didn't play no games. They didn't do no stupid negotiations where, and this is why Cohen is such a big deal and why owners of other teams are scared of Steve Cohen, because the money means absolutely nothing to him, right? $102 million, the biggest contract to a closer in baseball history, goes to Diaz and is from the New York Mets. When have you heard that from anybody about the New York Mets? That's why this is different, guys. That's why we talked about it, that this offseason could look a lot different, because this is a whole new ball game for Mets fans. We're not used to this, right? We're usually letting Diaz go somewhere else. They will pick up. If this was still the Bullpens, they would have let Diaz go and they would have signed Aroldis Chapman to like a 1-year deal, right? That's the Mets of the old. But the new Mets, the Steve Cohen Mets, don't worry about money. We got this. I mean, the Mets, just think, you're already paying $20 million to a closer. That's before possibly signing Nimmo, DeGrom, possibly one or two of your starters that of free agents. That's over another $100 million. So just with a couple of players, you could be over $200 million just like that before you even get to the outside free agents like a Trey Turner, possibly Aaron Judge, possibly Jock Peterson, or who knows what else, a Carlos Rodon. Yeah, I just saw that Grant Xander Bogaerts just opted out. And by the way, let me just give a shout out to Grant. Grant, I'm so glad Houston won the World Series for your sake, because I know your bars were booming, and I hope you made a ton of moolah for your bars, and I'm really glad that happened for you, buddy. Again, you know, we can all talk about the Astros cheating and everything like that, but they won, and good for them. But look, a great supporter of my channel. I can't wait to go down to Houston and see Grant and hang out at his bar. But I'm glad. I'm happy for Grant. Yeah, I'm glad the Astros beat the Phillies, but I'm happy for Grant because let's be honest, it's not easy owning a bar no matter where you are. And with COVID, and you know, at least you weren't in New York, but you know, with COVID and you know, trying to get everything up and running. I know you just opened up the second bar, so I'm glad that you can actually get some back from what the Astros did, and I'm glad that happened for you, Grant. And hopefully it keeps on going, and you keep on going strong. That's the most important thing. But secondly, what are the Mets going to do next? Because they're aggressive. You see it already, right? Daniel Vogelback opted in. That makes sense. That wasn't really a Mets decision. That's a Vogelback decision. But, and I said this to Joe, Diaz is going to sign. The Mets and Diaz are going to come up with a contract. I just felt that way because it seemed like, hey, Muttley, Grant can buy us beers, but you got to tip the bartenders well if that happens, right? I already told Grant. You know, Grant's like, he was like, oh, on me. Hell no. I'm tipping the hell out of your bartenders. That's for damn sure, because that's a tough-ass job. I'm not even going to lie. So, that's it. Hey, listen, Grant. I appreciate that, or anybody that goes down there, but make sure you tip the bartenders, right? That's the most important thing. But yeah, Muttley, me too, man. I tell you, man. Yeah, give me a couple of shots. I'll probably give me my whole paycheck, to be honest with you. I'm not even gonna lie about that. But hey, listen, guys, this is why we talked about why this is so exciting, because of the fact that Cohen does not care about the money. And I'm telling you right now, guys, he was pissed off about the owners, some owners not trying to vote him in to be the Mets owner. He was pissed off because he had to hire Sandy Alderson just to get the votes. And the first year he came in, he couldn't really do what he really wanted to do. You got to remember, he's a fan of the team, and he's the richest owner in baseball. Like that's like me and you being the owner of the Mets and having unlimited money, basically. Like that. This is what you're gonna do, and I wouldn't be surprised by the opening of Major League Baseball free agency on Thursday at 5 p.m. that you'll hear either Nimmo or DeGrom or maybe even Bassett or somebody that's the Mets have exclusive rights to talk to sign one or two more of those. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think I still have a feeling that Jacob DeGrom might want to test the waters a little bit, but I do think Steve Cohen, all you have to go there and say, listen, 4 years, $175 million, right? 4 years, 200, right? $50 million per year. You got to pay him more than what Scherzer's getting per year, because that's why he's opting out. He's not opting out to get less than Scherzer. So it's at least $44 or $45 million per year. 3 or 4 years, give it to him. Again, it's not my money. It's Cohen's money, and Cohen clearly doesn't care about it. He just gave $20 million to a closer, which is unheard of. And he did it because Diaz is that damn good. So that's where we are right now. I was trying to get on earlier, but I was kind of in my parlays with football. I was trying to set up, and I was going over my parlays with a couple of my coworkers. So, go over unders. Thank you. Nice little pocket change. I'll take it. Yeah, Louis, but you know what? The Nats, Braves, and Phillies, it's not like they went like the Nats. What did they really do? Who did they really sign, right? They didn't really do much, right? It was a couple of role players with Juan Soto and basically the end of Ryan Zimmerman, mostly. And that's how they won, basically, right? The Braves last year was doing it with their young core. But let's be honest, the young core didn't win him a championship. It ended up being Rosario and Soler being hot at the right time. And the Phillies, same thing, right? We saw what happened to the Phillies, right? The bullpen showed its ugly head, and they struck out the most times in World Series history at 51 strikeouts. That's terrible. And you know what? This is what Cohen sees. Look, the Phillies made the World Series. The Braves won last year. The Nationals won in 2019. You saw what Steve Cohen did after Steven Matz kind of screwed the Mets, thinking that he was going to sign with the Mets, and Cohen got pissed off, and then the Bassett trade happened. Cohen doesn't take this stuff lightly. He takes it to heart. So seeing the Phillies in the World Series, knowing that we kicked their ass the entire season, don't think that doesn't affect them. I think it pisses him off. He goes, no, we are better than the Phillies. We are better than the Nationals. And he believes that we are better than the Braves. Again, if it wasn't for 1 week of the season, the Mets are better than the Braves. I've always felt that way. Yeah, roster-wise, no. But I always felt like the Mets were set up better to beat the Braves. Just they didn't do it at that last week of the season. But that really doesn't matter because I said it. I just had that feeling that Diaz, when he talked about it the last time they spoke to him, that he wants to be a Met. He hopes he gets it done quickly. And Cohen heard that. And you know what? Kudos to Cohen knowing what Diaz was looking for, right? There was no talks going back and forth, getting anybody frustrated about cost. We knew it had to be somewhere around the $100 million. And he also got a signing bonus, which you usually don't hear about baseball signing bonuses, which is interesting because I think Cohen put that out there. And the reason why he put that out there is to show other free agents outside the organization that, hey, if you come to the Mets, we're going to take care of you. Don't think that wasn't strategically planned by Cohen and Epler. Because when do you ever see, you'll see, the AAV, you'll see the years, you see the total amount, you'll see whatever other clauses like opt-outs, no trade clause, stuff like that. But you never hear of a signing bonus in baseball unless it's an international free agent or somebody signed internationally. You don't hear of a player that's already in Major League Baseball about getting a signing bonus. That's like football, getting a signing bonus. So that's the best thing about this is that don't think that Cohen didn't leak that out to the reporters saying, hey, we also gave him a $12 million signing bonus. I'm telling you, that is so strategic. And I'm telling you, that's like waving food to a dog or a cat. Nice little steak. Like, hey, look what we can do. I think you want to talk to the Mets. I think you want to come here. We'll take care of you. Free agents are like, whoa. Not saying that the Mets are gonna try hard after Aaron Judge. I don't believe that, but that opens up eyes. That opens up eyes for Trey Turner, who's already said that he wants to return back to the East Coast. He's more comfortable in the East Coast. And when they asked him questions about what's his favorite stadium, what's his favorite pitcher, and he talked about DeGrom and he talked about Citi Field. All that is something that Cohen can use to try to get Trey Turner here. I want Trey Turner. I don't care about anybody else outside free agent wise. I'll worry about that later. I want Trey Turner. Trey Turner is versatile. If you find a way you cannot sign Brandon Nimmo wants to test the waters, sign Trey Turner. It puts a little pressure on Nimmo, And Trey Turner is versatile enough and athletic enough to put him in center field. Worst case scenario, you happen to sign Nimmo. Well, guess what? Now you got Trey Turner in second base. Put McNeil to left field. Cannon will be your number one platoon guy that can give guys days off in the outfield. You know, he played center a little bit when guys went down. He plays right. He plays left. He can play everywhere. So he can be that versatile guy giving guys days off. And listen, guys, the Mets are ready to play. It's just that simple. Met fans, get used to it. We're not used to it. And I just realized I kind of like messed up my shirt, but that's okay. Whatever. Who cares? I got excited. Like I was like, oh, I got to get ready here. I'm sorry. I won my parlay too, so I was kind of happy with the football game. I was waiting for the last game to finish up, so I got my under, and I did, so I'm happy. But I'm excited because it's 5:50. The World Series Game 6 didn't even start yesterday, and it wasn't even 24 hours, and the Mets made their first big signing. Yes, it was signing one of their own, but it shows the aggressiveness of the New York Mets. And I'm telling you guys, that means something to these free agents that are watching from afar, like guys like Judge and Turner and Rodon and Chris Bassett and Nimmo. And let's be honest, Cohen and Epler has spoken to every possible free agent on the Mets about what their plan is and what they think these players are worth. So they already spoke about this. That's why I think this Diaz contract got done and was popped up on Twitter just like that. There's nothing else you can say. And I think you guys already know that the Mets already spoke to all these players on the Mets already that are possibly becoming going to be unrestricted free agents by 5 p.m. on Thursday. So it's good to know. And I think somebody say Turner may want to be. Yeah, I don't think Turner. Look, these players are going to the biggest money. All right, don't let them fool you that I want to play shortstop. If Alex Rodriguez can come to the Yankees in a trade and play third base when everybody knew he was the better shortstop compared to Derek Jeter defensively. If he can move to third base, anybody can move anywhere. Okay? So Trey Turner, if he really wants to, if the Mets give him the most money, whatever it might be, the Mets are going to tell him where he's going to play. All right? I don't think Trey Turner is going to pass up the largest contract. And if it comes from the Mets and says, I'm going to take $50 million less because I want to play shortstop. No player is going to do that. Okay? It's not going to happen. So if the Mets want Trey Turner and they're going to pay him, you play him where you have to. And it gives you some protection, like a security blanket, just in case you can't sign Nimmo, because, Nimmo is now a Boris client. You know how that goes. Nimmo is not going to sign until Aaron Judge signs, because that's how it works. The top tier guys go first, and then the trickle-down effect happens. That's what usually happens. Again, it's a little different because the Mets have the opportunity to talk to Nimmo for a couple of days before Thursday, 5 p.m. So I think that's a possibility that they could get it done just because they're the only team that can speak to Nimmo at this point until Thursday at 5 p.m. And don't worry, guys, you're going to have all the coverage right here. MLB Free Agent Frenzy. You guys know if you follow the channel. In the offseason, MLB Free Agent Frenzy. I'm going to do it a couple of times a week. Tomorrow, I'm going to do Mets Talk Live at 5 p.m. And if there's any other breaking news, I'll pop on during the time when that happens. Chef Chino, sorry, I'm a white boy. Sorry, the Spanish doesn't work for me. I can't. I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to look like a fool. But I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. All the way from Cali. I appreciate that. So that's what the hell was I saying? So tomorrow, 5 p.m., Mets Talk Live. Any breaking news happens, I'll pop on like I did with the Diaz signing. Tuesday probably would just be just look out for a stream if there's any breaking news. Wednesday, I'm going to do a Mets hot stove. And Thursday, 5 p.m. You know what? I'm going to come in at 4:30. Thursday, 4:30 p.m., half hour before officially MLB free agency starts. MLB free agent frenzy 2023 will be live on Thursday at 4:30. So everybody, I'm going to put the schedule up on my community page, so look out for that. And just look out for the streams, guys. If there's breaking news, a stream will pop up as soon as possible. Just like the Diaz signing just happened, and the stream came on about 40 minutes later. But I'm trying to do that a little quicker. But again, it was football. It was going crazy. I was trying to set up everything. But we're good. We're good. And Met fans, get excited because this is only the beginning. And it's November, the hell says date? 6th. November 6th. And we already got the best closer in baseball. Sound the trumpets. I know some people don't care for that. The hell with Timmy Trumpet. It's the best entrance in baseball. And it's cool. It's going to continue. And let's go. And Brent, you read my mind. You know, as much as we want to hear about Nimmo and DeGrom and this and that, solidify your bullpen. Did you see what the Astros did in the playoffs? In the playoffs, they had a .79 ERA in the playoffs. The Astros bullpen, .79. They were basically the MVPs of that team, not the offense. The offense wasn't very good for the Astros. They did get clutch hits, but the offense was not very good. The starting pitching wasn't great. It was good, wasn't great. The Astros bullpen was elite. Montero, Abreu, Presley. Those three were – it was a lock when those three came in. And you saw Hector Neris, who we all know as Met fans, he could not get any Mets out. And when he was a Philly, he was garbage. But he pitched yesterday in a clincher. And listen, guys, if you have an elite bullpen, you can definitely win more ball games and not have to worry about, oh, man, DeGrom's only going to go 6 innings today. Well, if you got a back end of the bullpen, 7, 8, and 9, that is very trustworthy, well, guess what, guys? You're good. You know, I still like, you know, people talk about Seth Lugo and this guy. Andrew Chafin, the Mets should be all over him on Thursday, 5 p.m. Thursday, 5:03, they need to sign Andrew Chafin. This guy needs to be in the bullpen. He should have been in the bullpen this season, but let the past be the past. That's done with. Get Andrew Chafin. Get a lefty that is very good. Now you got guys for Bryce Harper. You got guys for Olsen. You got everything you need for big left-handed bats in your own division, and then you worry about everybody else outside the division. There's a lot of talk about James McCann. I don't know, you know, unless you're going to put McCann in a big package deal with a prospect, because that's the only way you're going to get rid of that contract, is giving a team a prospect, not like, you know, like a number 3 or number 4 type prospect, but a decent prospect, attach to McCann and just send them off to like the Pirates or something. But at the moment, I would do the Alvarez-Nito combination but again, let's see, before we worry about Alvarez and Beatty or those two guys, wait until spring training when it comes to those guys, because we all heard the problems that Alvarez was having defensively. You can't have DeGrom and Scherzer and a veteran pitching staff or a pitching staff that you're relying on with a young kid that might not be ready to carry a pitching staff. I mean, he could. You know, what Scherzer and DeGrom, when they would go into their rehab outings in AAA and AA, saying that he was very good receiving pitches. He worked well with them. So maybe he is doing good. And listen, I would have no problem. Alvarez and Nito, find a way to get rid of James McCann. I'll be damn happy about that. If you know me, you know that I can't stand James McCann. I didn't like it from the second Sandy Alderson signed him. He chose James McCann over JT Realmuto. And you saw what Realmuto did in the playoffs. They said that St. Louis would want James McCann. How about this? James McCann for Steven Matz, straight up. I would put Steven Matz as my number 5 starter right away in a heartbeat. I would do that in a heartbeat. Yeah, Brent, Mauricio's been killing it for like 3 years now. And again, the problem with me and Mauricio is not the talent. It's the fact that the Mets have not moved him off a shortstop when as soon as they traded and signed Francisco Lindor, Ronnie Mauricio should have been moved to another position. If it was second base or center field, they should do that. And they haven't. And my thought process is that they don't want to move. I've said this before. They don't want to move Ronnie Mauricio off of the shortstop spot because if he struggles at another position they put him in, his value will go down. And the Mets don't want that. I think Mauricio is going to be their centerpiece of a big trade at some point. I don't think the Mets want to lose that value from Mauricio. Because let's be honest, if everybody assumes that McNeil's going to be sticking around for another 3, 4, possibly 5 years, he's going to be your second baseman, right? Mauricio, you got Beatty, who is ready to possibly come up and play third, if not next year, definitely in 2024. So what positions that you possibly can think of, maybe center field, maybe left field for Mauricio, but they don't want to do that. So my thinking is they're waiting. They're holding Mauricio for that big trade that they can possibly make, like Ohtani, if that possibly comes up again during the offseason. Even though the Angels said that they're not going to trade him, they're going to try to sign him, which is laughable because Ohtani doesn't seem like he wants to be there. He wants to win. You're not winning in Los Angeles with the Angels. So I think the Mets are holding on to Mauricio for a big trade piece. And obviously can't be just Mauricio, but that's a centerpiece because I can assure you, you see what Jeremy Pena did with the Astros. When you have an all-star MVP of the World Series and ALCS shortstop, when you have a shortstop of that caliber, your team is so much better. There is no mistake that the Mets were very good this year because of what Francisco Lindor and what numbers he put up as statistical, defensively, and offensively. So there's so much the Mets can do. Look for another signing. I don't think it's going to be Nimmo. I don't know if it's going to be DeGrom, Bassett, Walker, Carrasco. Who knows? Again, Jacob DeGrom has not opted out yet. He's still got time. I think he has until Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Wednesday at, I don't know what time, but Wednesday, I think, is the last day he can officially opt out and become a free agent. So we'll see. If he opts out tonight, tomorrow, I think the Mets are going to start talking to him. And why not, right? So with that said, guys, this was obviously some breaking news that we got over Twitter. Jeff Passan, Bob Nightingale, John Heyman, everybody tweeted about it. Mets signed the best closer in baseball, Edwin Diaz, 5 years, $102 million with an opt-out after year 3, a full no-trade clause, a $12 million signing bonus, and a 6-year option. And that is everything you need to know about the contract and the details. Obviously, all that is pending physical, which should go rather quickly. The pen to paper should be probably tomorrow, considering that the Mets already got all his medical records and they probably don't really have to do a physical. But whatever. That's the most important thing. So, yeah, Justin Turner can stay with the Dodgers. He's too old now. Yeah, Hector, I agree. The start. That's why when people are like, oh, the Mets must sign Jacob deGrom. The Mets were worse when Jacob deGrom came back record-wise than they were without Jacob deGrom. And I'm not saying that's on Jacob deGrom. That's not on Jacob deGrom. But I truly believe that the Mets offense puts more pressure on themselves when Jacob deGrom takes them out, because they just assume he's going to shut the other team down, and they start pressing and try to score runs and give him a couple of runs early. Again, that's no excuse, but it's not the end of the world if the Mets, again, I know Canna talked about, he spoke to Jacob deGrom. He wants to come back. He wants to stay in New York. He loves the fans. But we really don't know what Jacob deGrom wants. All right. For all we know, he wants to live closer to home, and we know where that might be. All right. So I kind of think it's not the end of the world, because there's a lot of, now listen, if you can re-sign Jacob deGrom, you got that Scherzer, deGrom 1-2. I would take a flyer on Justin Verlander. He'll probably win the AL Cy Young. Give him a 1-year deal, $25 million, throw him in there, and then you can mess around with Peterson and McGill. And if you want to sign Carrasco or Walker, most likely I would sign Walker, or maybe Bassett, whatever you want to do, set that up and let them fight for the 4th and 5th spot. And whoever loses out is going to end up either in the bullpen or as a depth piece in the minors. It's just that simple. Yeah, I don't like Nathan Eovaldi. I don't like Sean Manaea. Rodon I like. Rodon I really like. I know he had some injury concern, but he was injured, I think, once last year, but it wasn't long. It was like maybe a week or two, but he was fun and he pitched really well for the Giants. So I think Carrasco is kind of I wouldn't say done, but I can't, if you want to put him as your number 5 starter, and you got deGrom, you got Scherzer, maybe even Verlander, and if you want to make McGill and Peterson fight it out for the 4th spot, I'm fine with that. If you want to do it like that, I don't know. Chris Bassett really turned me off after those comments that he made about, like, it was kind of like he was taken back by the whole New York scene, and he thought he was that he wouldn't have an issue with it, but then he did for a second. It was weird comments, and those comments were right before he pitched in the playoffs against the Padres, and we saw what he did against the Braves, and it just put a bad taste in my mouth, even though Chris Bassett was the most consistent pitcher all year, except for the last 2 games that he pitched for the Mets. Again, I wouldn't mind the Mets signing Chris Bassett, but it has to be with a combination with Scherzer and deGrom. I don't want to see, oh, great, the Mets signed Rodon and Bassett and Walker, and see what Peterson and McGill can do, fight out for that last spot. That's fine. But again, you've seen this throughout baseball. The Astros didn't win the World Series based on great starting pitching. Right? Verlander wasn't very good in the World Series. Javier was excellent. And Valdez was really good as well. But it took a dominant bullpen to just completely shut out the Phillies for the last 3 games. And I do expect the Mets to revamp this bullpen. I don't think Lugo's coming back. I don't think Ottavino's coming back. I think the Mets are going to reshape this entire bullpen. I do think they're going to try to trade Edwin Diaz's brother. I put up a video about a week ago. Check that out. I put up a trade proposal to get Edwin Diaz's brother Alexis from the Cincinnati Reds. The Mets, if you heard that rumor or that news report, that the Mets tried to get Alexis Diaz in July, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen, obviously. I don't know if the Reds pulled out or the Mets thought it was too steep of a price, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets try to do that again and see where they're at. Listen, if I'm the Mets, would you trade Ronnie Mauricio for Alexis Diaz straight up if the Reds take that, right? Mauricio can play shortstop tomorrow for the Reds, right? Number 4 prospect in the Mets system. Well, actually, Mauricio's number 6 now. Just so everybody knows, he's number 6. So if obviously you want to give a couple of lower level prospects, maybe another pitching arm, that's in the top 25. Would they do that? I don't know. I mean, Alexis Diaz has 5 years left on team control. I doubt that can get it done, but if the Reds kind of bite after that, why not? You get a shortstop that can play tomorrow in the major leagues, and maybe a good arm in the top 25 that you can send them their way. And that's your number. There's your 8. There's your bridge to Edwin, right? The Diaz brothers, 8th and 9th. And they both can close. If Diaz pitches 3 days in a row, or Edwin pitches 3 days in a row, you got Alexis to fill in for a game or two. That's a perfect combination there. You need a bridge to Diaz. You saw what happened in September when the Mets could not get the ball to Diaz in save situations, and it hurt the Mets in the month of September. But good news is we got our closer for at least the next 3 years based on the opt-out in that contract. It's a 5-year deal with a possible 6-year option. So with that said, guys, one more time, Edwin Diaz re-signs with the New York Mets, 5 years, $102 million. Opt-out after 3 years. 6-year option, $12 million signing bonus, and a full no trade clause. And once again, guys, I want you guys to pay attention. When do you hear about a baseball player and their signing bonus? You never hear about that. The only time when you hear about a signing bonus is when an international free agent gets signed. Some player from international, prospects or any type of international signing, you hear about a signing bonus. You never hear it from a Major League Baseball perspective unless it's international free agents. So that, I guarantee you, was leaked out by Steve Cohen to the reporters about that $12 million signing bonus, because what that signing bonus opens up some eyes. All those free agents that are like, whoa, look how aggressive the Mets are. Look, they're not playing. Look at that signing bonus. Look at that contract they just gave to a closer. Everybody is on alert because of what that contract entails and what information came out of that contract and what that signing bonus really means. Again, you don't hear about signing bonuses in baseball unless it's international free agents. So that's just food dangling for the dog, right? It's that juicy steak that dog sees. You're just swinging it around. The dog can't reach it, but it's very tempting. That's what that $12 million signing bonus is getting leaked out to the media. And that was directly from the front office and probably Steve Cohen to open up the eyes and put all the free agents on alert. Look what we just did. Oh, guess what? Not just that contract. Look at that signing bonus. That's a big deal to a lot of these players. So here we go. Offseason started. Not even 24 hours after the World Series ended, the Mets make the biggest news on day one of free agency. Exclusive rights to talk to your own players that could become free agents. Mets, 5 years, $102 million. Opt out after 3 years. 6-year option. No trade clause. And a $12 million signing bonus. Once again, guys, tomorrow, Mets Talk Live, 5 p.m. Be there. let's talk more about this. If there's any breaking news tomorrow, I'll pop on just like I did tonight with the Diaz signing, and we'll go from there. So Mets Talk Live tomorrow, 5 p.m. Look out on the community page on my channel. Look for the schedule for the week. Again, Thursday, 5 p.m., MLB free agency officially starts for all players. All teams can talk to each other. So that will be the first day of MLB free agent frenzy live right here on Talking Mets and Rob. So once again, guys, thank you for tuning in to this breaking news. Edwin Diaz re-signing with the New York Mets, 5-year, $102 million. Tomorrow, 5 p.m., Mets Talk Live. Everybody have a good night. As always, Mets fans, let's go Mets. Have a good night, guys. Good night, everybody.
Question of how. It's just a matter. It's just a matter. It's just a matter of
Hello again, everybody. Joe Piscopo, Shea Stadium. The big story. Mets 86. Exciting, thrilling, awesome. Let's take a look.